Hello, in this video I will talk about the Five Nights at Candy's franchise and determine which game out of the three at the time of making this video is the worst one. I like these games and you should play them, even if I think that some of them are better than others. In this video I will try to pick which one is the worst. However, remember that this video is just my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I will take a look at each game and tell you my thoughts about it, like for example what it did well and what it did bad, and I'll also give my overall thoughts on each game. And at the end I will choose which game I personally think is the worst one, and explain why. For the first Candy's game, I will use the remastered version. You might be asking yourself, didn't you make a video about the Candy's franchise not that long ago? And to answer that question, yes. Yes, I did. Coming up with creative video ideas is hard. Before we start, please like and subscribe. Let's start. The first game we will be talking about is the first Five Nights at Candy's. Well, the remastered version. This game is very similar to the first Five Nights at Freddy's, and I absolutely love the first FNAF. In the first Candy's game, you have 3 doors that you can close to protect yourself from the animatronics. You can also use the camera system to keep track of the animatronics. The cameras become vital for survival in the later nights. You also have to use the cameras to see if Blank and others are attacking. Blank is the Foxy of Candy's. The game also has cutscenes in between the nights and a secret special night, where you meet Shadow Candy. In this night you have to track him down and close the door if he is there. When you beat this night, there is a cutscene that teases the 4th game. So, what do I like about this game? Well, I like the overall gameplay of managing your resources. The game also looks really good, which is appreciated. Although this game is very simple, I think that it does a lot of things well. I really like the character designs in this game. They look very unique and high quality. I also really like that the game forces you to use the cameras in order to find out if there is something outside your door. But what do I not like about this game? There isn't a lot, but I think that the game drags on a little. Games like Flumpties, for example, are really short, usually only one night. But a one night is a difficult one that introduces new gameplay mechanics and enemies throughout the night. So the player experiences everything the game has to offer without needing to play 6 entire nights, when the difference between their difficulty every night is very little. I feel like the night structure in Candy's is fine as is, but having less nights is just something I personally would enjoy more. I'm not saying Candy's should have been only one night, but I'm just saying that I feel like it should have been less than 6. Maybe 3 would be a good number, because without it, like, the difference between each night, it's nothing major. But I feel like 6 is too much, because, well, the game doesn't introduce like a bunch of new mechanics from the first night to the 6th night. There is some new stuff, but it's nothing like very big, and the difficulty jumps aren't that big. The first Candy's game is good. There is very little that is bad about it, and it overall is a good game that I recommend playing. So let's take a look at the sequel and see if it's an improvement over the first game. Five Nights at Candy's 2 starts off with an intro where you are told that you lost a bet and have to spend 5 nights in the abandoned factory. After this, you are taken to the main menu. The main gameplay of this game has a lot to do with the cameras. There are several rooms with active phones. If the phone rings for too long, it will be temporarily disabled. You can cancel the ringing of the phone in order to prevent it from being disabled, however. There is also Chester, who will occasionally bang on a vent, trying to get inside. Ring the phone in the room he is banging the vent in to scare him off. The penguin will also sometimes show up on your camera. Put it down in order to avoid having your cameras disabled for a while. So, this game has pretty basic gameplay. The main thing you'll be doing is ringing phones, because that's the only way to defend yourself from every lethal threat in the game. There is also a night 6 with Rat and the Cat. The Rat and Cat are the previous enemies put together into 2. There are also 8-bit minigames after each night. They probably show some lore, but I am too stupid to understand it. The gameplay is meh, I don't like it that much. It's basic, which isn't a bad thing, but there is no reason for the player to like flash the hallway to see if an animatronic is there, and there is no resource management because the phones are infinite if you cancel the call. If you click on phones and then deactivate them, then an animatronic will not be able to kill you, because there are phones that lure them playing 24/7, making the game very boring, because there is nothing in place to break that loop or to prevent you from doing it. And it's not like this is a glitch or anything that is very difficult to pull off or find out. No, it's just playing the phones and deactivating them over and over again, and I don't think that's very fun. You could choose, of course, not to do that and check if animatronics are in the hallway, but even then that doesn't change that much. The game is still kinda boring and uneventful. The lack of something to manage like a power meter is a real shame, because you end up doing the same thing over and over again with no reason to deviate from that loop. I think that the character design in this game is good. I like the withering on each of the animatronics, and it's a Candies game, so of course it looks good, as always. Overall, I think the gameplay of the game is bad. The last game we will talk about is Five Nights at Candy's 3. This game is a lot different from the others. It's more story focused. The game has a lot of minigames, like the ones in the Rat and Cat Feeder and the Dreamscape. The minigames are really good, I really like them. There are so many minigames that we don't have time to talk about all of them, so I will keep this short. Some of them are normal games, while others are more lore focused, and all of them are really fun. Exploring the Dreamscape was a really cool experience. It had a lot of secrets to find. Personally, I think the minigames are the best part of this game, and the best minigames in any FNAF fan game. But let's talk about the gameplay. You are in a room, you have a flashlight, and underneath your bed there is a tape player that speeds up the night when you play it. Occasionally, you will have to rewind it in order to keep it playing. When a rat attacks you, you need to shine your light in his face, then see which side of the bed he went to, and then look at the opposite side, then shine your light on him again in order to survive. The cat will appear on the end of one of the two sides of the bed. Shine your light into his face to make him go away. Well, that's basically the gameplay loop. What do I think of it? Well, I feel like it's cool for a night, but then after that it kind of drags on. There is very little new stuff introduced. I mean, the game introduces the cat on night 3, but that's about it. I feel like this would have been a much better experience if it only lasted one night. A difficult night, like a boss fight at the end of a game, for example. Because I feel like it suffers from a lot of the same problems that the first Candy suffers from, and that is that it kinda drags on without much new content being added. I mean, the rat's movements become faster and his attacks become longer, and on night 3 Monster Cat is added, and although he is an extra mechanic to worry about, I feel like it's still too little, and there should have been one hard night with both of them. A lot of the nights feel the same, like there isn't much change in between them, and I just feel like the experience could have been better if it wasn't dragged on. Although I like the managing of the tape player, I feel like it's a better music box mechanic. I think that was a really good addition to the game. I also like that Monster Rat will distort the tape player to make it harder to hear him coming up from the bed. I think it's a good detail to have that makes the game more challenging. Don't get me wrong, I like this gameplay, but I feel like it overstays its welcome, because there is not much difference between the nights other than difficulty. As I said before, I absolutely love the minigames. In summary, the minigames are really good, but the gameplay could use some work. It would work much better as a boss fight at the end of a FNAF game. So, those were all of the Five Nights at Candy's games. Now, I will determine which one I think is the worst. All of these games have some good and some bad, which made it quite difficult to pick which game I think is the worst. I mean, the Five Nights at Candy's 3 had its amazing minigames, Five Nights at Candy's 1 had its fun resource management gameplay, and Candy's 2 had, well, it had cool character designs, and a cool boss fight, sort of, with Rat and Cat at the end. So yeah, all of these games have something good about them, but which one do I think is the worst? Well, I pick Five Nights at Candy's 2. Why? Well, I just feel like the gameplay of Five Nights at Candy's 2 is just the worst. because you can just click the phones over and over again and just avoid the penguin and ring the phone when Chester is trying to get in the vent. The gameplay loop is extremely boring, and even if you decide to use the hall, the gameplay is still boring, and there is no reason to even check that hall if you constantly ring the phones. I just feel like Five Nights at Candy's 2 has the worst gameplay, and there's nothing to make up for that gameplay, like for example in Candy's 3 with the minigames. Although Candy's 2 does have minigames, they are nowhere near as good as the minigames in Candy's 3. And Candy's 1 is just overall good, better than Candy's 2. So unfortunately Candy's 2 will take the cake for the worst Candy's game. Wait, you're the worst. You don't get a cake, you get a cardboard box. Because it's really late right now when I'm writing this script. And that is the only thing I could think of. Obviously, this video is just my opinion. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'm not saying Candy's 2 is the worst game ever. I'm just saying that I think the other Candy's games are better than it. If you like Candy's 2 and think it's the best, then that's completely fine. I'm glad you enjoy it. Well, thank you for watching this video. Remember that this video was just my opinion. Like and subscribe. This was GameSpeaking, and goodbye.